Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our VCE for March. It's Women's Month, and we're excited to hear about women in trade. I will let our guest introduce herself, but right now, like for our youth to introduce themselves. Oh, my name is Adriana. Sorry. I'm the program manager at Lite, and we are in Aurora and also the Proviso area.
Oh, my name is Mariah Stuckey. I'm also a light leader, and I just enjoy making movies and editing.
Hello, my name is Gabriel. I'm a podcaster for Lite, and I really enjoy talking about education and learning more about careers in podcasting. So we are very excited to be interviewing Quinn, and we'd like for you to introduce yourself and tell our viewers a little bit about you.
Hi, Quinn is short. My name is Gwendolyn. A lot of people screw that up, so it's Quinn. I am a phlebotomist, most of you know. I've been doing this, it'll be 6 years in the summer. I love it. I really enjoy my job. I'm not sure how many people can actually say that, but I do. I'm not sure how in detail you want me to go.
So this will just be a conversation here. So you just tell us a little bit about what it was like for you, like growing up. Were there points during your childhood where you're like, that pointed you in the direction where you're like, I really want to be a phlebotomist, or tell us, give some background here.
Absolutely. Okay, so growing up, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'm sure as most young people go through. While in high school, I thought I wanted to do childcare. I took up childcare courses. I have credits, college credits, in probably anything you can think of. Childcare, nursing, even law. I thought I wanted to be a parole officer or a probation officer. So I did that. But what led me here, I did medical assistant. And my daughter's 18. So I want to say in about 2004, 2005. I completed that. However, I did not pursue the career because phlebotomy was a small part of medical assistant.
Mhm.
And that stuck out the most for me. So I ended up going back to school for just phlebotomy. I took a break. Like I said, I had my daughter in 2004, and that's when I was in. I went to school probably 2005, so I screwed that up. So about 2005, then I took a break because then I still wasn't sure, and then it was expensive, as it is now. It's
Oh yeah.
expensive to go to school. So I did everything in customer service. I was a manager at Bath and Body Works, public storage. So like I said, I've done everything.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a lot of experience in
I do.
different industries, from customer service to law to even going into the healthcare system. And
I do.
so it seems like the going into like healthcare was kind of like a branching point for you to get into phlebotomy.
Yes. So about 2018. Yeah, 2018 is when I went back. I completed the course. I got my certificate in phlebotomy, and I worked for maybe a year in phlebotomy, and then consecutively.
Yeah.
But then I ended up doing CNA. I had a family member that got sick, so I kind of transitioned a little bit, and then my certification expired. So it's good for 2 years. The certification is good for 2 years. if you are consistently working in the field, you have to take some classes. They're called CEUs. You basically have to take some refresher courses
Oh,
and stuff to renew your certification. So that expired. I did not take the courses. So I had to go back and just do the whole thing over again. But some people, I would say it's like riding a bike when you're doing phlebotomy. So when I went back, it was more like a refresher course for me. So I kind of zoomed through that.
Okay.
And so now I started out at a plasma center. I did that for a few years, but now I am working at a doctor's office. The company is called One Medical. I've been doing that for quite some time now. I was only there probably less than 6 months, and I got a promotion where I run my own lab. So
Oh, wow.
I am in charge of everything from ordering inventory to anything you can think of in the lab. So yeah, that's where I am today.
Wow. So that's, I mean, that seems like a great journey with, starting going from, a law to healthcare to customer service to now phlebotomy. So it seems like you had like there's a really healthy environment for you to explore the different career options that were available to you. Were there people along that journey that you would say really helped you? And if so, maybe just share like an experience in a way they helped you.
Absolutely. So my best friend, who is now a nurse, she tried to talk me into becoming a nurse too, but we kind of stayed on each other. She's like, "Oh, friend, you should do this. Oh, friend, you should do that." We just kind of encouraged each other to do that. And she actually has been living in Florida for quite some time, so we would FaceTime all the time to just kind of encourage each other. Or she was further along in her career, so when there comes any test or homework or anything, I would definitely call her for help.
No.
She would send me books or different web links just to kind of help me along the way. Even my family, I have a really good support system. Even the ones that are not in the field, they would just kind of encourage me to keep going. At a young age, like I've been in every field you could probably think of. So
Yeah.
they just kind of encourage me, whatever it is you want to do, just keep going. You'll figure it out sooner or later.
Yeah, just like Nike says, just do it.
Do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. It seems like, with the mentoring and, with that environment, that it was really, really healthy for you to be able to, do any career you wanted to, explore any options available. Is there advice you would have for people who are interested in exploring future careers? I mean, specifically, I know the medical field, but even in a broader sense, other fields?
Absolutely. Like Nike, just do it. No, but as far as a trade, I have an 18-year-old. So she registered for her first semester of college. She went through that, and then she didn't register for the next semester. So the same advice I gave her, college isn't for everybody. There are some very successful people in the world who don't have college degrees or 4-year degrees who will go on and get a trade. There are some people who has multiple degrees and they are not using those degrees. So you got to kind of find out what works for you. My daughter now, she works at a daycare. So she was in school for that, but then she decided maybe that's not for her. So she kind of does multiple things to try to kind of see where she fits in at. So I guess she kind of takes it after me a little bit. You just got to figure out what works for you. Don't let other people discourage you. Like I said, I'm not that parent that, if you're not going to college, you have to go to college.
Yeah.
Or you can't live in my house. I'm not that parent. You got to find out what works for you. School isn't for everybody. but you just got to find that, niche. You got to find what you're passionate about and what makes you happy.
Yeah, that's super important. I know, like, once people find what they're passionate about and what makes them happy, then they go with it so far. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
the sky's the limit, right? Like, there's no way
exactly.
to quantify when somebody's passionate about something and they get to do it. And in phlebotomy, or every other career, like, there's always, when you're passionate, you get so much more work done, you're so much happier, and more fulfilled. So that's
Exactly.
great. You've been able to find that, on your journey of becoming a phlebotomist. And how long have you been a phlebotomist?
August, it'll be 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
That's a great time to be in that, and in
Yeah.
phlebotomy. That's great. I believe Mariah had the next couple sets of questions.
Oh yeah. So my question is, what college did you go to, and what was your major?
Well, I started out at a community college, Malcolm X. That's where I went and did child care and my criminal justice classes. But for phlebotomy, the first time I went to Nirvana Institute, and then, like I said, the certificate expired, so I had to go back. So this last time around, I went to TAJ School of Health.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mhm.
While you're like in the industry, what was the biggest challenge that you had to overcome?
I've kind of mastered phlebotomy. But in the beginning, it's kind of you gotta be very careful. You're dealing with needles and sticking people. Some people have a fear of needles. When I first started, I was nervous too. But my teacher, instructor always told me, although you're nervous, you cannot let the patient know that you're nervous, because then, like, how is that going to work? You're about to stick me with a needle and you're nervous.
Right.
So just being confident, you gotta be confident. But now, even sometimes the biggest challenge is when you have people that have very small veins. But even then, you got to be confident and know that whether the veins are big or small, there's some blood flowing through those veins.
Yeah, I used to be really scared of needles too, like when I was little, and it just freaked me out.
Oh, same.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even as a phlebotomist, I don't like getting my own blood drawn. And I have like a million tattoos as well, and I still don't. But being a phlebotomist, and I also train people. So going to get my blood drawn, I'm looking at this person like, do you really know what you're doing? I'm critiquing everything.
Right. And while being a phlebotomist, I'm 100% sure there's a lot of risk factors while being one. Can you think you can name some?
So yeah, you have to be very careful. Well, sometimes it's out of your hands with I don't know if you all have did any research or you're familiar with any of it, but with hematomas, when drawing blood, like sometimes the blood doesn't, I'm trying to explain it so that you'll understand. The blood doesn't come out, and so like it'll kind of swell up a little bit, and that's just the blood staying, inside and not coming out. And people get really nervous about that. So I just kind of explain to them, like I just explained to you, and let them know, we just got to add pressure. It goes down immediately, unless they actually have some other underlying issue. And then just to add pressure and a cold pack. Sometimes the bruises are worse than others, but I've learned to just, reassure them that it's nothing major. It happens, unfortunately. It happens when getting your blood drawn.
No, yeah. I didn't even know that. I just learned something new today.
Yeah.
What was the training process like? I heard the training. How long does it train? Like 6 weeks?
So it can be 6 weeks. It depends on the school that you go to. It's
Okay.
anywhere 6 to 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. I'm trying to think. The last time I went, it's been some time. And then now, this day and age, they're conditioning everything. I think I went for like 8 to 10 weeks, something around that time. It's not long at all. Especially if you're doing it right, if the instructor's teaching you the right way, because some of them can extend it, if you're not comfortable. But anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks, I'll just say that. And then you have to take the state board as well. Some places will let you work without having your license. And some places you have to have your license, especially I believe hospitals. I worked in a plasma center. They didn't require it, but yeah, it kind of depends on where you work. You have to have all the credentials.
So what's the difference between being licensed and not being licensed?
So you can go to some states differ too. The certification is just, for me, I think is a piece of paper. And it allows you to work in different places, certain places, but like a hospital requires you to be licensed. So that's the difference. The certification, you can work in a plasma center or something like that. License, you can work for a private agency or be a mobile phlebotomist. So the credentials determine where you work and how much money you make.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all the questions I had.
So looking at the amount of time that like the training took, was there anything you learned like while you were like after the training that you didn't learn in the training?
Oh yeah. I feel like that's any job. The classroom is different than actually doing hands-on. You won't learn everything you need to know about a job until you actually do it. And then the classroom, especially with phlebotomy, you're sticking the same person all the time. Once you finish the classroom part and doing the basics, once you start learning the technique in class, you're sticking your classmates. So after time, you kind of learn where their veins are, the good veins, how they'll react. But when you get into the real world, you never know who your patient is going to be.
Do you have any patients where it was just not, you had a really hard time like being able to stick them, or they had like a really weird reaction? Or
Absolutely. You have, I've had patients that pass out. I've had patients that have had full-blown seizures. I've had people where I can't get a vein, but it's just after learning, after you've been doing it for a while, because there are some tricks. I actually just learned something last week that I didn't know. And I've been using it, and it's been very helpful. Like you're never too old to learn, and just because you've been doing it forever does not mean, like I had so many patients tell me, "Oh my God, I didn't feel anything. You're amazing." But I'm still learning things. I'm still learning. Like I said, I've been doing it 6 years. Last week I learned that for some patients, if you have a hard time finding the vein, you can rub alcohol on it and it helps to raise the vein. I did not know that. I
really?
did not learn that in school.
And
I've been
is
using
really
that
cool.
technique. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I know I was getting some blood work done the other day, and they were going over. They're like, "Yo, we can stick you," but yeah, I mean, some people they talk about it, and they're like, "Yeah, some people we just, I mean, they have veins, but we can't find them." So
Yeah,
I'll remember that. That is really
yeah.
cool.
And I am the type of person, like, I love a challenge. I have patients coming in all the time. Oh, I'm a hard stick. No, you're not. You just haven't had the right person to do it. And there are other tricks that I've learned, like heat packs. If I have a hard time finding them in their arms, um, the hands, you can draw blood from any vein in the body. A lot of people go straight here, but if there's a vein popping here, I'm getting it. I'm gonna draw your
Oh,
blood. Blood is flowing through every vein in your body. So yeah. But the heat packs, blood pressure cuffs, I used to get really nervous about larger patients because it's harder to find their veins. But
okay.
now, like I said, I love a challenge. So when they come in like, oh, I'm a hard stick, we'll see.
That
How do
is really cool. Oh, sorry.
How do you deal with the people that pass out? Do you have to wait till they come to, or can you take their blood while they're out, or how does that process work?
No, so that's another thing. I was not told about that in school. Like I said, 6 years. Not until maybe 5 months ago, I had my first patient to pass out on me. She
Oh,
went into, like I said, a full blown seizure, and then when she came back, she was like, "Oh my God, how long was I out?" I'm like, "For about a minute." She was like, "Oh yeah, that happens all the time." You think that's something that we need to know? So for
yeah.
that patient, and it was the first time, like my heart was racing, of course, but I couldn't let her know that, well, she was out. But even when you have patients that do that, you can't let them see that you're nervous, afraid, whatever. They teach you that in the medical field too, or even in customer service, period. You have to be able to control your body
Yeah.
language.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so for that one, I just kind of kept my hand on her chest so that she didn't fall forward and or fall, and then just kind of recline her and just make sure she didn't fall. And then when they come back, if you can, um, alert a doctor. So I learned from that. Now I keep my phone close to me because the messaging app that we use, I just downloaded on my phone. So I keep the phone next to me. So
Oh,
now when I have a patient, I just either put in help, or some locations you they have like a code blue, code red, whatever, they know what that
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And then any available doctor will come in and assist. It's not life threatening. Sometimes it just happens. So yeah, you just gotta try to remain calm at all times. It's scary. It is.
Yeah, but I saw, so I'm in a child development class, and we were learning about epidural, and the needle showed up on the screen, and the girl behind me passed out. Like she
It's a
just,
long needle.
I was like, I was freaking out because I thought she was having a seizure. I was like, what is happening? I was scariest thing
Yeah.
ever.
Oh,
Some people just have a phobia. Sometimes it's a mind thing. I had a patient that come in and was like, "Yeah, I passed out." And I'm like, "Okay, so is it just the actual feeling of the needle going into your veins, or are you looking at it when it's being done?" She was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like, okay. So this is what we're gonna do." So now in my office, um, well, I started it in Black History Month. I just posted some
mhm.
famous Black people on the wall next to my chair, and then there's a big window too. So I'm like, either you can read this or just look at the big tree there. So I just had her just focus on something else and don't look at what I'm doing, and it was fine.
That's awesome.
So sometimes, like I said, it's a mind thing, and then
Yeah.
some people want to know what's going on. I had a patient, just tell me when you're gonna do it, and I'm just talking to her, and I'm like, okay, we're done. She was like, what? I didn't feel anything. So she didn't pass out. Can you hear me? I dropped my
Yep.
AirPod.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, let me grab my AirPod. Can you hear me? I'm
Yeah,
back.
we
Okay.
can hear you there. Oh, that's really cool though. I think it's like I found like when I was like you don't feel it when you're paying attention to something else. Like, when you're talking to somebody or you're looking out the window or reading a quote or something, like it it doesn't feel as it doesn't hurt as much. But I
Yeah,
think it's
because we
just
don't
that.
use large needles.
Well,
So it's not.
exactly. Yeah. So it's just that like mindset where you just kind of you look away and you're like, oh, and then they're like, hey, you're done. And you're like, oh wow, and you get like your little
Exactly.
your sticker or whatever, right? Like you
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. You get you've been able to work it seems like with a lot of different people and who have different reactions to the being to kind of getting stuck with the needle. Has there ever been a situation where the person just would like refuse to get stuck with the needle?
No,
Oh,
I haven't.
good.
I mean, most of the time when they come to the doctor's office, you may or may not need your blood drawn, but I have not had anybody refuse a blood draw.
I know I wonder that because I know some people have like really big phobias of like needles where they see one, they go like walk the opposite direction, like get me out of
Yeah.
here.
No, I think I have not experienced that yet.
That's good.
And I've actually had children too. So they would want to refuse it, but their parents, of course, are like, yeah, we got to get this done. Because we were doing a lot of COVID vaccines and
Oh yeah.
or just regular vaccines. As children, you need vaccines. So what I did though, and it was a day for me. I had probably like 15 children in one day just doing vaccines. And I just gave them snacks after we were done. I gave them snacks, and then the ones that had the COVID shots, of course, they had to come back for the second dose. And all the my coworkers at the front desk was like, "Oh yeah, Quinn, they're asking for the lady with the purple hair that gave them snacks the last time they were here." So yeah, they didn't like it, but afterwards they were fine, and they just knew they were gonna get snacks when they came back. So the second time was easier.
So you stick all ages, correct?
I do. I do.
What's like the hardest age group?
Babies. Anybody 1 and under. Because it's so hard. He's 8 now. And when we go to the dentist, like he throws a fit and I'm the mom, like I cry. I'm like, nope, we're not doing it. We're gonna go home. I don't like to see my children in pain or just like just I don't. So sticking the babies, I really have to pull myself together mentally because I know as a mom, like it's hard to see your children like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to ask a question. Can you tell me how has your salary increased from the 6 years, or have you just had a standard salary?
Oh no, it's definitely increased from where I started. Um, even being at the plasma center when I graduated back in 2 years ago, I started out at a plasma center. And when I left there to go to the job that I'm at now, my salary increased by $5. So, yes.
So the plasma center is the difference. Is like we were talking about it the other day when we were prepping. Is the blood drive work consistent? Would you call that a consistent gig, or is that a side gig? If you have to be
So
at the blood. Blood
The
drives?
plasma center.
No, like blood drives that pop up all over the place. Is that part of what you do as in the hospital, or is that something that you could do as a side gig?
So I actually had applied to do that. I have not done that, but yes, there is a company. It's like what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. But they will like send you a schedule of different locations that they're gonna be at, and you can sign up for it. It's a part-time, maybe not a contract, but you can make your own hours. You make your own hours. You can sign up for whatever shift or whatever location they're gonna be at. So yeah, that's like a side gig. You can do that. They have also like a mobile phlebotomist where of course you can make your own hours. So I think it really just depends on you, what you would like to do and the schedule. So I thought that once I finished school 2 years ago, I was like, oh, I want to work in a hospital or a doctor's office. But then I had to be realistic because at the time my son was 5, 6. I can't work in a hospital because there are different shifts, and I can't do that. Doctor's office, on the other hand, they have more stable hours. So where I am now, like I tell everybody now, I have the perfect job, perfect hours, perfect location. I work, I'm supposed to work 8 till 4:30. My friends talk about me all the time because I always get to work maybe 30, 45 minutes early. I don't like to get to work and just start working. But yeah, my shift is 8 to 4 every day, Monday through Friday. No weekends ever.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm able to drop my son off if I choose to, but I also have an 18-year-old. Like I said, that helps me. But I'm guaranteed to be able to pick my son up. He goes to aftercare. So I love what I do. I meet new people every day. My coworkers are amazing. There's no drama in the workplace. So that's where I am at, and that's where I will be for quite some time.
So, talking a little bit about the pay, what's the starting pay for when you going through school to become a phlebotomist? What's the starting pay for that?
So it depends on where you work and
Okay.
what credentials you have. That was another thing. I said I wanted to work in the hospital, but I went and applied to, I think it was Northwestern, one of those hospitals. And I think their starting pay was maybe like $17, $18.
Oh,
And that wasn't feasible for me.
yeah.
Like I said, I have an 18-year-old and an 8-year-old. I live in a house. $18 not gonna cut it. So it depends. The company that I work at now, I've been there for quite some time. I think the starting was $20. Yeah, I think it was something like that. But I've gotten a couple raises since then. So it just depends on the company and your credentials.
Well, that's pretty good for just a starting pay grade, and obviously it seems like it moves up as you gain seniority
Yeah.
and stay there longer. And with this current company, you said it was One Medical?
It's called One Medical. Mhm.
Okay, so what types of customers do you see come in? Is it just everyone, or is it what type of services does it provide?
So it's a clinic. So, I work with doctors, nurses, the receptionist. I work with everyone. When I first started, I started out as a flex, which means I was flexible. So we have 9 locations in the Chicago area, and I've worked at every last one of them. But the one that I am now, I have my own lab. We don't service children. So now I just work with the adults and geriatrics. Yeah.
Okay. That seems like it's a lot nicer than working with, the very young kids with the seem like they're very hard to to work with.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, well, yeah, I will still work with them from time to time because the location I work at is closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I get to choose which location I want to go to on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And because I do miss them with the children, next Tuesday I will be at one of the locations that services children.
Oh, nice. Okay. So looking to the future, what does the future look like for you with, doing phlebotomy right now? Are you what future is in the field of phlebotomy? Is that something that you can do move up in different like with certifications, or what does advancement look like in this career field?
I want to teach. I'm going to teach phlebotomy one day. So I've already started training where I am now. So I still have some things to learn. So once I feel comfortable enough, I'm going to, and I actually know the lady that at the school, that I last went to, and she's like, let me know when you're ready. She has her own school, so
That's awesome.
I'm gonna teach one day.
Well, that's really cool that you started with. I keep going back to the, you started with law and customer service, and now you're going in, and in a couple of years you want to start doing being a teaching phlebotomy, which I think is so great, because it seems like there's such a need for people to for qualified professionals in the field of phlebotomy, and that's really great. I mean, I think it's a testament to how open people need to be about their education and learning and following different different programs and finding what works for them.
Yeah, and then, well, I think this is with any field. You have to put yourself out there, use your resources, and have an amazing support system. Actually, one of my friends, I wasn't looking for a job. Well, no, I was at the plasma center, but one of my friends sent me a link on Indeed for someone to write certification questions. So I got to travel to help write certification questions. So that was really good. It was maybe 3 days. I went to Salt Lake City, all expenses paid. They pay for the flight, room and board, just to come and help write questions. So, like you said, Gabrielle, the sky's the limit.
Yep.
Once you put your mind to it, you put yourself out there, you have the right qualifications, you can do anything.
Exactly. That's, again, the sky's the limit. I mean, with the opportunities available, like we're holding this interview on Zoom, right? Like it's one of the great ways to be able to educate people. And again, there's so much that it seems like that, the sky's the limit. So we're really excited to see where you go with your career and moving forward with that. I believe Adriana had a question.
So you've mentioned your kids, right? So our network of youth have children, right? Some of them are young moms. Will you share a little bit about, were you a young mom? Were you someone that, how is it like to have the 2 kids and going to school and try to do your life?
So when I first started medical assistant, I had my daughter when I was 20. I think it's young. Some people say it's not that young, but for me, it was pretty young. So I had her when I was 20. And I started, she was born in 2004. So I want to say maybe 2005. My mom helped out a lot. So I was going to school at night and my mom kept my daughter. Now, when I went back, I did have my son. My daughter's 10 years older than him. So she's a big help. And still my kids are my mom's first grandchildren. So they're pretty spoiled. And I'm my mom's only daughter. So, and the only one to graduate high school and make something. So she was a huge help. So, like I said before, having a great support system is amazing. But the second time, half of my courses were online. So I was able to do that at home while my children ran around the house and made all the noise in the world. But a support system, a strong support system. That's the big thing, especially for young moms. It's hard, especially. I'm grateful for my mom because my son doesn't go with anyone. He's a mama's boy. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that because a lot of, youth has to hear that from others. It's not easy. We're not saying
Yeah.
life is easy and we're not saying there's one path, but I could say it. But if they don't hear it from other people about
Yeah.
how their journey was or their path is, right? It's so important to hear that. And thank you for sharing that and being open about it, because it was like, oh, your kids. And I'm like, oh, she's kids.
No
You
problem.
know?
Oh my God. It's so hard. It is not a walk in the park. It's so hard.
But the journey is it's what we make of it, right? I mean, you were able to
Exactly.
be your resilience of it, or saying, okay, this happened, take it back. Like, I think that I want to showcase just that example that you gave of, wow, you went through it the first time, your certification stopped, and then you went back. Like, you were like, all right, well, that happened. But, and just even telling everybody about your continuing education. We all have continuing educations. Teachers have continuing educations. Engineers have continuing education. It doesn't matter if you get a certificate or you don't get a certificate. At some point in time, your job's going to be like, hey, you need some training and you need to do it by this time to continue being employed. And so it's your choice of what you're trying to do. But I think that that's
Exactly.
great to hear also that they understand that in the trades, the jobs are valid and they're very important. They require study. It's just not the same study.
Exactly. I'm just glad I didn't have to go 4 to 6 years to do it. Because honestly, I probably wouldn't have. Like I said, school's not for everybody. It's not. And I don't like school.
But you want to
my
teach,
best friend's a
huh?
nurse.
You want to
Oh,
teach, huh?
I can teach. I don't want to just sit there and listen to someone teach me.
Yes, it can be really hard, sitting in the classroom for when in some cases can be, multi-hour long lectures. So
Yeah.
it is fun being, being kind of in charge of that classroom and teaching that. So I used to work in childcare, so we would have a lot of, we would have students who would just, be trying to go over the material that we're doing, and some cases the kids would just like not be getting it, or they'd just be like, hey, this is too hard. And it's, especially if
I'm a hands-on learner. Don't tell me how to do it. Show me how to do it. So maybe the third time I got it. Now, don't get me wrong, for phlebotomy, it's a lot of learning. You have to learn the different veins and it's a lot of reading. But when it's something that you really want to do, something that you're really interested in, then you'll put the time in.
Yeah, you mentioned something that I thought was interesting. I want to circle back to this. You talked about how during the phlebotomy class, you kept sticking your classmates a lot. Was that how was that? Was that like, because you said you got to know where their veins were quite well. What was that like?
So for phlebotomy, you have that's how you learn how to draw blood. You have to be willing to let your classmates stick you and you stick them. So what other way to learn it than on, like, we had the mannequin arms and stuff like that, but you want to get the real feel, the real reaction, because we did a lot of role playing, and I was that dramatic patient.
Oh,
So I gave my classmates run for their money sometimes. I was the scary patient. But you have to be able to handle those different situations, the different patients and personalities, because sometimes you will get that. And even where I work, like I love what I do, but you have some people that don't want to be bothered, or hurry up and get this over with. It's still customer service. So whatever job you're doing, it's still customer service. You still have those different personalities. So for me, I just have the mentality, like, if I was working in a store, like, I'm just gonna see you for like all of 5 minutes. I will not let you ruin my day. Let me draw
yeah.
your blood and send you on your way, and I'm still gonna be the nicest person you've ever met today.
That is a great tip. Thank you so much for your time.
You're
I'm gonna
welcome.
stop recording. They'll cut this up.
Yeah,